Good afternoon to everybody. I just want to say thank you to everybody here, to all the units, and for hearing your greatest spirit for improvement of quality that you're delivering for babies and their families, and for engaging with families to promote skin to skin in your units. So I'm Lelis Vernon, and I am the mother of 3 boys. My first son was born full term in Argentina, where I'm from. And then I had identical twin boys, Bobby and Charlie, that were born in Baptist Children's Hospital here in Miami. So I'm glad to see the team here. But that was 18 years ago. The twins are now musicians and they're bilingual and they're doing great. But as you can see in my opening slide, the representation here of all these skydivers is because after you graduate the NICU, it pretty much feels that you're in free fall. And as a NICU family, you're trying to get together with other NICU families to form a community. So graduate NICU families usually say, we're in free drive. Let's try to get together and save each other. So today I'm gonna talk to you about who this family panel is, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. So much as you would do, any NICU would do to form your family group, you would look at the community of patients and families that you're serving. And that's exactly what we did at the FPQC. We joined efforts with ICU Baby, which is the largest volunteer group of graduate NICU families that are serving here, 3 different NICUs in South Florida. And as you can see, their numbers are pretty impressive. They have over 400 volunteers, graduate volunteers. They also provide financial aid to NICU families. They take care of families in the most crucial of times, as it was back in 2020, when they joined forces with NICU grads and put together care packages that were delivered to families in the NICU. And so perhaps the most unique aspect of our partnership with ICU Baby was the fact that we could get fresh feedback from how care was delivered in NICUs in real time. However, to make this group even more unique, I brought together 10 different families that had graduated the NICU more than 10 years ago. In that way, we could have a feedback, a longitudinal appreciation of the difficulties of being in the NICU and receiving skin-to-skin care or not from more than 10 years ago and nowadays. So we did this in the middle of the pandemic. As you can see here, this was the only time we had the opportunity to get together outside and with masks, families and NICU grads. And as I said before, I think that the most unique aspect of this army of people working with the FPQC is the fact that the NICU graduate families have the help of NICU graduates. Those are the youth ambassadors, as you can see in the photo, and they work shoulder to shoulder to help families in the NICU. So as Bill mentioned at the beginning, there are many firsts in this family group. We are very proud to have gathered a group of people that represent all walks of life and all the populations that are being served in our NICUs, from Argentina all the way through Latin America and the Caribbean. All types of families are represented in our group, as well as different outcomes. So those are the who we are and what we are doing. So the what and the why perhaps is best represented in this slide. This was a compilation of conversations that we had with families over 6 months via Zoom So we took advantage of the virtuality of this pandemic, and we could reach families all over Florida to gather their experiences specifically on skin to skin, but we wanted to expand and see and take a good look and appreciation of their experience in a timeline fashion. So I know that this slide is pretty busy, but this is a representation of the different points of interactions the families had with NICU staff. And in the words of Edward Deming, one of the gurus of quality improvement, there is no quality improvement really if you don't have the voice of the consumer. So the feedback and the stories that families can bring you are really data points that you can take to have an appreciation of how care is being delivered real time. With that, I want to introduce 3 very special families that are collaborating with the FPQC. We're going to hear Monica Babbage, Shakima, and Fabian. So we have a special video that Monica presented.
Good afternoon. My name is Monica Babbage. I was told that you like numbers. So let's start this talk with numbers that you might be familiar with. In May of 2019, my daughter, Lara, was born at exactly 34 weeks via emergency C-section after a failed induction. After being placed on bed rest at exactly 32 weeks due to severe preeclampsia, a hypertensive crisis made waiting any longer to deliver a dangerous game for us both. She weighed 1.89 kilograms and spent 18 days in the NICU at South Miami Hospital. Those 18 days were marked with Billy lights, Brady's, apneas, ultrasounds, room air tests, and feeding tubes, all things that you're familiar with. But I didn't come here to talk to you about numbers and terms that you're familiar with. I came to talk to you about a different number. 4 days, 18 hours, and 32 minutes. That is the exact amount of time between the moment Lala was born and the first time I ever got to hold her. My entire life, I was told by my mother that the moment I was placed in her arms was the single best moment of her entire life. This sentiment was repeated to me by dozens of well-wishers. What I got instead of this I am a mom moment was a hurried look at my baby, a blurry picture, and a room full of the palpable anxiety of a group of people tasked with keeping us alive. This was followed by a 24-hour wait for the magnesium to wear off, and a long wheelchair push into a NICU room filled with machines, a cacophony of beeps, nurses speaking terminology I couldn't understand, and a baby in an isolette that I could not hold. 4 days, 18 hours, and 32 minutes. Every day, I would walk in cautiously optimistic that this would be the day that I would get to hold her. I know that our wait was short compared to many others, but it felt like an eternity for mom and dad who wanted nothing more than to hold their newborn and take in that smell. By the afternoon of day 4, I knew the nurses were sensing my anguish. She seems stable today. Do you want to try to do some skin to skin? I need you to commit to holding her for at least 2 hours though. 2 hours? I would have stayed there all day if that's what was required. The picture on the screen is the first time I ever got to hold her. My delayed "this is it" experience captured in a photo. 4 days, 18 hours, and 32 minutes. This marked the beginning of our skin-to-skin journey and a very distinct before and after of our NICU stay. Every chance we got, Elada was on her chest. You'll hear plenty of people talk today about the benefits of skin-to-skin, and undoubtedly, baby Elada thrived after we began to hold her. She went from vague promises of going home in a couple of weeks, maybe, to concrete timelines for discharge. She drank her first bottle while on my chest at 10 days, and we celebrated 48 hours on room air while in her father's arms. But I want to talk to you about what it does for a mom. My C-section was not the end of my struggle with preeclampsia like we hoped. During the days they monitored me, the only times that the digits on the screen didn't cause panic in the eyes of the nurses was when my blood pressure was taken after carrying her. My milk production literally tripled after holding her that first time, and I was able to supply her with all the liquid gold she needed. Emotionally, it marked the first time that I did not cry myself to sleep, filled with guilt and anxiety. My baby was no longer a doll I couldn't touch. She was mine. Skin to skin helped her, but it literally saved me. 4 days, 18 hours, and 32 minutes after she was born, I was born again. I went from stranger to fierce advocate in almost an instant. The first night I saw Lara, I left devastated. I handed the security guard my badge, realizing that I was going back to a room with no baby. A lady stopped me and introduced herself as part of ICU Baby, a NICU support group for families. The way she looked at me, the questions she asked, I knew she understood. She knew the heartache, the anxiety. She also knew about the guilt, the anger, the frustration, the jealousy, the hopelessness, everything that you experience. But more importantly, she gave us hope. It is so easy to feel alone, to consume yourself in those numbers we spoke about earlier, that you forget to enjoy your newborn. Not your newborn, the sick baby, but your brand new bundle of joy. They hosted events, dinners, they read to our baby, they showered us with goodies. While the nurses, doctors, and therapists took care of Lara, ICU Baby took care of us. These two experiences made me a bigger proponent of a family advisory council. It combines those statistical numbers with those emotional numbers to create an environment where we're all working for the best results for Lara, not for an abstract baby girl Babbage on the chart. Family councils bridge the gap between a job that requires precision and knowledge and a parent who is shocked, overwhelmed, but fiercely devoted to the well-being of their child. It will create better professionals, better parents, better advocates. It will create people like me, who never in a million years could see myself giving this presentation. It will create moments like the one I had at 4 days, 18 hours, and 32 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. That was an incredible account. Monica graduated the NICU in 2019. So kind of fresh experience. So we have Shakima Smiley.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shakima Smiley. I am the mother of the wonderful kid, Lori Livingston. She has been the light of my life. Our journey started at Baptist Health, South Miami Hospital, in the NICU. Lori was actually transferred there from another hospital due to her chronic state. She was born with very compromised lungs. She was born at 24 weeks, and she was very, very fragile. We were transferred for the help of South Miami because they are a level 3 NICU, and her journey was very, very long. She actually spent a total of 8 months in the NICU. And as you can see on the photo that's presented, I am doing kangaroo care with her very, very early on. That picture was taken about a week after she was born. And I like to say ignorance is bliss, because you can see a huge smile on my face. I had no idea where this journey was going to take us, how long it was going to take for me to bring her home. But South Miami did an amazing job. The doctors, the nurses, the respiratory therapists literally grounded me. They educated me on what it was going to take care of a child like Lori. Due to her chronic lung disease, she required a tracheostomy. She also has a gastrostomy because of her feeding. She cannot eat by mouth, so she has a G tube. And they taught me all about how to take care of her, how to monitor her, how to get her prepared to go home. This experience was very traumatic, very scary. Of course, I have never encountered a child like Lori. My family had never had any premature babies in my family. So this was a first for all of us. And just me buckling down to learn those things from the staff was key. It was prominent to how I prepared for her to come home. Although I'm not going to speak a lot of numbers today, I do want to focus a lot on aftercare. And I think I heard something about Parent Plus project. And what I'm going to speak about is mainly towards that, because I would like to speak about the aftercare once parents are released to go home or discharged to go home. In Lori's case, she had a trach and a G tube, as I stated. So there was a lot of care that I needed to learn. I needed to know how to operate a ventilator. I needed to learn how to change my daughter's trach. alongside her G-tube and monitoring her on a post-ops. It was traumatic. But as I transitioned out, I was set up with providers who helped me, assist her. And the thing about being educated while you're in the NICU, the parents being educated while we're in the NICU, it is a true stepping stone to how we operate with our children once we're released. We cannot depend on a nurse to come and save us or anything like that. Some parents don't have home nursing at all. Fortunately for Lori, she was, but there were many, many things that home nursing agencies didn't know about trach care, about trach babies, especially babies that was born very young like her. And so when I would encounter providers or nurses that was not sure, I relied on my education that I've learned in the NICU. And I began to teach these very same people who were put in place to help me. I began to teach them on special things that they needed to know, important things that they needed to know in order to make Lori a success. There's also many other things that the NICU educated me on, and I was able to carry it out while she was discharged, and that is learning about the durable medical equipment and learning about those companies and what equipment you can actually get to help your baby while you're at home. There's very special things, wheelchairs, post-ops, kangaroo pumps, things that matter that you absolutely need. I noticed that these were the companies that were able to assist us in those matters, even bedding, certain special feeding tubes for her to learn how to eat. These were things that I had no idea DME companies can provide us with, because my expectation was, hey, the hospital had all these things, how would I be able to get these things? And they helped out a lot with that. And also, just to mention very quickly about providers such as therapists, occupational therapies, physical therapists, they were the core to get my child to where she needed to be. As you can see in the picture, Lori is thriving. She's an incredible kid. She is walking, playing around, and having fun. And I appreciate you all for hearing me, but this is an amazing opportunity, and I love to speak about it because I would like to share hope on this matter and allow parents to see where we can start, but how we can end, and we can end on a positive note. And I thank you all for listening. Please understand that as parents, we appreciate your hard work, your dedication towards our children, and your hard work and the family initiative, things that we're learning with it is definitely paying off. And now we're dedicating our work to be an advocate for families and children like them.
Thank you very much, Shakima. Thank you for being here and making time out of caring for Lori and everything else to share your experience with us. And I just wanted to share, Shakima graduated the NICU early 2020. So we heard from Monica from 2019, Shakima 2020, just as the pandemic was starting. Yes. And right now I want to introduce to you Fabian Tejedor. Fabian is the father of Gabrielita, and they were in the NICU 19 years ago. So Fabian.
Hello, my name is Fabian Tejedor. I'm the father of Gabriela, like Lelis mentioned. She was born at Baptist Hospital in 2002 at 23 weeks of gestation. She was about 600 grams, almost 1 pound, a little over 1 pound when she was born. And we were at the hospital for almost 4 months. We were at the level 3 of the NICU, which was the level for extreme premature babies. And the group of doctors that were there in charge of Gabby, they were very open and honest with us. And we discussed Gabby's current situation, high risks, challenges ahead, and the overall game plan to help her complete her development outside of my wife's womb, which would have been the normal environment for her. As you can imagine, during our time at the NICU, we were exposed to a lot. It was very overwhelming and traumatic. And it was really a roller coaster of emotions. Our hearts broke multiple times, and we had to piece it back together so we could stay strong for Gabby as she went through this painful development and terrifying survival journey. I think that people cope with extreme situations like this in different ways. I'm a financial person, so I like numbers. Therefore, I was very focused on understanding Gabby's daily chart. Like, for example, the blood gas, the oxygen levels, the ventilator pressure. If the numbers were getting better on a daily basis, in my eyes, it meant that my baby was making progress. But like I said, it was a terrifying roller coaster. So the numbers were not always better, especially during the first month. Gabby was taking literally one step forward and two steps backwards with emergencies and surgeries. So it was really, really tough. During the first month and a half, we were fortunate to participate in a few events, one of them, as they call it. Baptist had a nice picnic set up around the lake and the ground floor with activities for kids, and parents with babies were invited, together with graduate babies invited to come back. For us, this activity was a great way to connect with other families that were or had been in similar situations in the past as us. And it gave us a way to get peer support. After Gabby went home, we always made a point to come back every year to these reunions. And that's how we met Lelis a couple of years later. And now we have developed a great friendship. I definitely think that parents need more of these activities and counseling to help them navigate this roller coaster of emotions and uncertainty. To me, it is super critical that we offer these type of opportunities more often. Another activity that really helped us cope with and feel a sense of hope and normalcy was having the opportunity to do kangaroo or skin-to-skin care with our baby. This happened close to the end of the second month. We would have hoped that it would have happened a little earlier, but we understand that, back then, not really a formal program for this. And, every baby is different. So the circumstances are very, very important to be evaluated before that can happen. But I feel that it should be allowed to happen a little earlier. And I think this skin-to-skin opportunity made a huge difference for my wife and I would like to think that it made a huge difference for Gabby's progress and her ability to continue fighting to overcome all the obstacles that came her way. I think feeling our skins and also for her feeling our beating heart close to her, I think it was a tremendous therapy for all of us. So really, overall, we feel that emotional support for parents, as well as a formal and consistent program to take care of our babies are super important for parents and babies. And we would like to see more of that available to parents that are going through these situations in different hospitals, right? So whatever we can do to make it happen, we're here to help, and hopefully this makes a difference. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabian. Thank you for being here and sharing your story from the perspective of the dads. We, as I showed you in our past slide, we pride ourselves in having almost a 50-50 representation of moms and dads. Dads bring a unique perspective of what the NICU is all about and how the NICU story impacts families. And as Fabian said, and I'll echo what you just mentioned, Fabian, there was a very nice NICU reunion done every year. It has been canceled for the past almost 10 years due to budgeting. But that was the first time that we got to meet each other and really appreciate how being outside of the NICU was. So I was in the NICU, Fabian was graduated with Gabrielita, and that's how we met. And I think it was a lifeline for me, for sure. So I hope you enjoyed our presentations and how we have engaged with all these families and what we are doing. The future looks very bright. And as I said, thank you to all the families. I had here a photo of the Zoom, one of the many Zoom calls that we had for an entire year and a half to communicate with families, and also to this amazing FPQC and to all of you for being here today. Elizabeth, I see you baby, and myself are here, and the rest of the families in our collaborative are here to help you in any way. So we are always an email away. Please reach out to us if you have any questions.